Hi guys, welcome to another PS Pro tutorial. In this tutorial we're going to look at the brush tool, and the brush tool is a really cool tool that you can do so many cool effects with. So many people just think that you can literally just kind of draw little shapes like that straight onto the canvas, but there's loads of things that you can do with it. So I'm going to start off just by selecting the brush tool up here and then heading up here and then looking at the various different features and things that we can change with the brush tool to make it really kind of work for us. So obviously you can make the size a little bit bigger. So if you just click like that, that's obviously it's self-explanatory. If you just reduce the size a little bit, you know, it's just going to make it a little bit smaller. And we can keep on going there. Nothing magical that much about that. But another cool thing is that, like, we can manipulate the layer styles now and get to talk about those later on. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave this as normal right now, but you can do lots of different kind of effects with it, like lower the opacity, so that way if you actually draw over something you can see through it, just like making the actual thickness of the perspex or the acetate a little bit frosty or not. And then playing things like with the flow, so if we set this as a flow to 78 for example, and then do another one just above it at 100, you'll see it's just a little bit more solid than the latter one. So lots of little things like that. Of course, if you want to change the color, we've got a couple of ways. If you just press Alt on a Mac, we can just choose like a color from the logo. We can just draw across like that, or we can just head on down to the color picker here, or the color palette, and then literally just choose any color that we want and just kind of draw over it. So obviously there's a ton of cool applications that you can do. There's also loads of different types of brushes, so that the one that I've been using is kind of like a solid hard brush. So I'm just going to bring it up a little bit. I'm going to select a blue from the color of the logo, and I'm just going to draw a line to the right, and I'm just going to then choose kind of like a blurry brush. And you can see it's just a lot more smoother. So it really depends what you're doing here. If you need to do things with a sharp edge, perhaps you're doing like box covers, things like that, and you really want to kind of get that accurate sharp point, then you'll just use the kind of hard tool. If you want something that's a bit more interesting and a bit more kind of softer, obviously use the like one with a more mellow kind of edge. So I'm just going to close this layer down, open it up. Now also there's a load of different other brushes that you can get, and there's also, you can use lots of brushes that are available on the internet. Obviously I've already shown you the cloud brush, so I'm going to show you that in a second again, but you can do find various beautiful brushes just depending on whatever it is that you're designing. So I always like this one. This is kind of gives me a nice star burst effect, and you think that's really cool. Again, if you start something I haven't talked about yet with the layers, if you start lowering the opacity down, you can start making some really nice effects very quickly just by playing around with brushes, making your logos stand out, things like that. So again, another really cool feature, and I think certainly one of my favorite brushes without a shadow of a doubt. I know it's incredibly popular. If I just head on up here and just scroll down, the cloud brushes. Now the cloud brushes, if you just Google Photoshop cloud brushes, you'll be able to get these. I'm just going to go ahead and reset the color palette to white, obviously, so this is going to give it a kind of like an evening look. Again, lower the opacity a little bit. That's not the most exciting one, but if I want to do, here we go, let's put another kind of cloud there. Lots of things we can do. Keep lowering the opacity just to make it look a little bit more interesting. So that looks a lot better when you've actually got like a nice blue background. So let's change that to, let's see what it looks like with the PS Pro blue. And then heading back up here, raise the opacity a bit. You can see nice kind of cloud effects. Very simple. So that is the brush tool, guys. Really, I'm going to close this, bring this back. Really simple, really powerful. All you got to do is just find a nice selection of brushes that kind of aid your design. Check out sites like brusheasy.com. There's a ton of brushes there. And all you got to do is just install the brushes with a couple of clicks. Lots of instructions out there on Google, so I'm not going to necessarily show you that now. I do talk about that later in another kind of tutorial. Play around with the size, making sure you've got interesting colours, and you can just start adding cool little effects just like that. So really handy. So hopefully you like that brush tutorial, guys. Get playing with it. Lots of cool things that you can do. Obviously you can use it on images as well, and just kind of colour up any kind of blemishes on pictures, things like that. Really handy. Okay, see you in another video.